Now, for those of you who couldn't stand it and wanted to get out early in the bow season, the weather called for cooler weather, and they lied. We were kind of shocked and amazed that it was much warmer than they said. So as we sweated in the deer stand, we saw squirrels jumping around like crazy. So a thought occurred to me that I haven't had some squirrel in the crock pot for a while. So I looked at Nathan, Nathan looked at me, we climbed out of the tree stand, and we proceeded back to the house, loaded some shotgun shells in my trusty 20 gauge and headed for the squirrel woods. Hey, we're gonna switch it up.
Here's what happens in the farmer woods. When I'm meat hunting, if one kind of meat doesn't show up, I'll find another. I may not have got me some deer on the ground, but I got some squirrel for the crock pot, and we're going to show you a wonderful recipe for squirrel with some gravy on mashed potatoes in a little while. Now we got a mess of squirrel. Now I always carry this with me. You can get these at your major squirrel hunting outlet stores. It's called a Squirrel Harvest Bag. They're kind of expensive, but I always carry these with me. Hard to find. You have to look. Most of them are out of leather. I got this one special. It's made out of plastic. A little more expensive. But anyhow, I'm gonna take my guys and put them in here. But before I do that, we get a lot of questions on folks saying, hey, how do you skin a squirrel? Let me tell you real simply. I'm not gonna get real graphic here, but it's just this simple. I'll just gather that skin right up there in the back. I'll make a cut there, and I'll make a cut all the way around the body. And I'll just skin that off, pull that off with a pair of pliers, pull the top part off, cut his little legs off. You're not gonna eat this, you're not gonna eat that. Take his guts out. And you end up, after you quarter it, with a nice little plate of squirrel like this right here. And we're gonna show you how to make a nice crock pot squirrel with gravy to go over mashed potatoes. And I'm telling you what, it is yummy, yummy. So it's very simple. Here's what we do. We're gonna cut up our vegetables. We're gonna take, I don't know, probably most of this onion, medium-sized onion. I like a lot of onions. We're gonna cut that up with a little bit of celery, a little bit of carrot, and all we have for our ingredients is chicken broth, a little cream of mushroom soup, a little bit of white wine, salt and pepper, and later on, we're gonna thicken it up with some Kentucky kernel flour because I really like that peppery flavor. I'm not gonna use a whole lot of celery. I like a little bit. I like to use the leaves too. That gives a lot of good flavor. This is just for flavor. Gives it a great taste. Oh, one more little thing was hidden back here. It's just a little bit of thyme. I like that in my chicken and squirrel recipes. It gives it a nice, wonderful taste. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my squirrel. I'm gonna go ahead and put it in the pot here. I'm gonna cook this until I can very easily pull the meat off of the bone. We've got our squirrel in the container. Now I went ahead and put just a little bit of salt and pepper on there. I like my salt and pepper. Now obviously, the doctor says don't use it. Go ahead and use it anyway. I'm just kidding, do what your doctor says. And I'm gonna take some water, and I'm gonna take some chicken broth, and a couple cups of water, 3 or 4 cups. Just cover it real good. There's my chicken broth. There's my half cup of white wine. And I'm gonna go ahead and cover that up, a little bit more water. Just get in there till you get everything covered up. Then I'm to empty my cream of mushroom soup. If you don't like cream of mushroom soup, you wanna use some cream of celery soup. Be good too. Some people don't like mushrooms. Put my carrots in. And my onions. And my celery. It already smells delicious. Chicken bouillon cubes, drop in there. Boop, boop, boop. Tiny bit of thyme. Just a touch. I'm gonna plug it up. Now I'm gonna let that cook until the meat starts to fall off the bone, until it easily comes off the bone. Now, that's your crock pot, again, has its own personality. This has got a 4-hour, 6-hour, 8-hour, 10-hour setting. If you're going away for the whole day, set it on the long setting. I want this done fairly quick, so I'm gonna set it on to 4 to 6 hours. If it's not done, just let it cook a little bit longer. Now that's gonna start to thicken up, that soup's gonna start to thicken up, and just let it roll, and you're gonna start smelling something good in a little while. All right, we're done cooking. So now I'm gonna take my squirrel, and I'm gonna separate the meat from the bone. Now I'm gonna pull the meat off of that bone, and I'm gonna put the meat back in. All right, now we're gonna take our pieces of meat, separate that off the bone. Now for the magic of television, I had 2 crock pots going. This one is the finished product. This is after everything is cooked for a while. Now it's something you might want to do, especially if you've got some big old fox squirrels. You may want to cut your time down by putting them in a pressure cooker and let them cook a little bit till they fall off the bone, because that's the lengthiest part of this process. These were little old gray squirrels, and it took them a good while to cook. And on the back burners while we're cooking here, you'll notice that I've got some potatoes going for the mashed potatoes, and I got some fresh corn on the cob right out of the garden. All right, the last and final step is I've got about half a cup of warm water in there. I'm gonna take some Kentucky kernel flour. I'm gonna get that stirred initially there so it's, get the clumps out, get me a whisk. Get that all stirred up good. And I like that nice peppery taste that it adds. I'm gonna take this and pour it into there. And I'm gonna mix it up, let it thicken up. That's the consistency I want. It's starting to look like gravy. It's all nice and thick. And then I'm gonna take this whole mixture, the carrots, the squirrel, the gravy, and I'm gonna dip it on a heaping hunk of mashed potatoes. I got me some fresh corn on the cob and some fresh sliced tomatoes. And you got yourself a rib-sticking squirrel meal right there. Tell me that doesn't look good. Now, you know what? Yesterday was going to be a deer hunt. We switched gears. Now we have a plate full of squirrel. Don't tell me a country boy can't survive. And let me tell you what, I know a lot of you out there thinking, he's eating a tree rat. He's eating a squirrel. I've eaten a lot of these in my lifetime, and let me tell you what, it's really delicious. Let me say one more thing. The longest thing it takes to cook is to get the meat off the bone. Now, you may want to pressure cook this ahead of time. If you've got a whole lot of time and want to let it set for 10 hours, knock yourself out. But I'm going to quit talking and start eating.